Oh, my old friend and nemesis, I'm laughing already, is here tonight.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
I don't always get caught when Jess, the director, says go, we go, and Bob Walsh and I never stop laughing until we start killing each other, which is kind of the way it works. He hasn't been on one of the programs in a while, but it's good to see him back. Bob Walsh, National Education Association Executive Director, is my guest this evening. And as you may know if you're a regular viewer of the program, and if you don't, on Fridays we don't talk about the issues of the day necessarily because we've taped the show on Thursday. We have 4 production days for 5 shows. I don't hide that from you because, you know, most days I'm talking about what's happening today. So we record this on Thursday. If we have to catch up to anything, we'll on Monday. But it also gives us a chance to kind of spread things out. And there's never enough time for Mr. Walsh and I. So let's start with something that has been a contemporary conversation this week, and that was the heat that was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Reportedly today, Friday, at least based on the weather projections on Thursday, it was a cooler day. But it was pretty brutal on Tuesday, Wednesday, and especially Wednesday, right, with heat indexes, you know, well over 100. I was at a press conference that was on gun safety and concealed carry legislation, which was kind of peculiar with the governor and the ed commissioner. But the heat came up, and I probed the governor, on the heat. Here's an excerpt of that we ran on the radio. Governor, thought on that? Any thoughts?
I agree. You know, I will say, as a mother, it is almost impossible to think that these kids could be able to focus in 90-degree weather in the schools, but I don't think it is the state's place to tell schools what their schedule should be. So if the local schools had said, we're letting the kids out early because it's too hot, I would have totally supported that.
Yeah, you will declare emergencies on weather matters in general and offer leadership on that then. Why is a heat index of 100 plus exempt from that thought process?
You know, it's a great question, and I think if we thought that there were the same level of danger, it would be different.
So I was off mic at the press conference. What I was saying was, you declare emergencies all the time. Heat index of you can't have an influence on the statewide decision. And of course, the ed commissioner pushed back too and said this is not the kind of thing that we want to take discretion from the supers away from. Yet they'll put a concealed carry piece of legislation, a directive out that supersedes a law. Anyway, Bob Walsh is always a wild card on some of these non-litigation issues, and I think a purveyor of common sense oftentimes. So it's good to see you, my friend.
Thank you. Good to be back.
I heard you on the radio, so it's no surprise, on WPRO and the Tara Granahan show talking about the heat on Wednesday, and I found myself nodding with you on the air. Your point of view was?
That if there's a number, and we'll let the expert decide what the temperature number, or maybe a temperature and humidity number, beyond which schools should be closed, classrooms should be closed, learning doesn't go on, health issues occur, we've got kids with asthma, kids with other breathing problems. You're not getting any productivity in a classroom that's 85 or 90 degrees. I don't know what the magic number is. It's probably as low as 78 degrees if it's a really humid day, and maybe it's as high as 82 or 84 degrees. Again, leave it to the experts, but we send the kids home early. The last 2 weeks of August, we've subsequently learned, are the 2 hottest weeks on average of the year in Rhode Island, and the buildings don't have the time to cool down when it's weather like this. You know, if you've got those cool nights, warm days followed by cool nights, the next school day starts, the building is cool and it slowly heats up over time. But last night, I think the low was 76 degrees. So they're already coming in, and it's probably at the margin of an acceptable limit. And then you're sending all these student bodies in there. They gets hot fast.
Yeah, we shouldn't assume, by the way, that the teachers, want to be in there either. I hear the teachers dialing the radio program saying, "You're not going to believe what kind of murderous conditions it was."
Oh yeah, that's what it started on Tuesday. We started for this the few places that were already open on Tuesday. We started get simple. Send us the picture. They send us a picture of the thermometer in their room that said the temperature's this.
Well, do you have you ever decided to, from a union perspective, formalize and get aggressive with your argument about this.
It's funny, not in the teaching contracts that I've seen in my 25 years of doing this.
Not everything
but
has to be in the contract.
Yeah, but to make the point, in some of the old municipal contracts, they had, if it's over 95 degrees outside, if it's over 90 degrees outside, the work will go inside. So the
for
workers who are working outside and everything. So you don't like to think you don't have to formalize something like that. We don't have to formalize that if there's a blizzard. We don't open the schools, but maybe we're going to have to start to think about.
You're so programmed on the contract, for God's
sake.
I'm just asking about demanding a seat at the table and having a discussion. I'm the NEA executive director, and doggone it, we want you to think about this, and we're going to pound you politically unless you do something.
I think I started that with a tweet on Tuesday, and we've been talking about it ever since.
That's true. Okay. I'll give you that. Interesting, though, the dynamic of leadership and decision making when it comes to education issues in general, school safety. I would contend, by the way, that a heat decision is a school safety decision.
Oh, I think so.
It's also an education decision because, and the kids come in bright-eyed and bushy-tailed on day one, or upset that summer's over on day one.
A little bit of both.
But with a little bit of expectation that it's a refreshing new start, and now you've melted them. And I would think that most teachers would find that deflating.
Oh, it's very deflating. And if you want to talk about attendance problems, you want to talk about performance issues, an air-conditioned building, a temperate building is going to be better in all those categories. How many kids who were in school Tuesday went home, told their parents about it, and the parents said, don't go on Wednesday?
Well, you know what? It'd be interesting to find out what that data is.
I think we'll be able to get that data.
So the other question that comes, I don't think this necessarily has to be a school calendar question, because you can get 100 degrees in October and still have to make a decision.
The school calendar discussion is an important discussion to have. I've been tilting at that windmill unsuccessfully for 25 years.
Do you want to systematize it across the state?
I think that there are some rational reasons for a more coordinated statewide school calendar for both students and for professional development reasons. If we knew that 4 or 5 particular days a year were set aside for teacher professional development, then you could see a lot more cross-district collaboration. And to the extent that most or many of our teachers and education support professionals in the schools are also parents, and they don't necessarily live in the district where their kids are at school. So I'll be teaching on Tuesday, and in the district I live in, my kids are out of school that day and vice versa. So yeah, I think there's some reasons to have coordinated school calendars. It doesn't have to be before Labor Day or after Labor Day.
You're willing to give up the February or April vacation or parts of it to have a systematized post-Labor Day start?
I don't know if that's the particular answer to it, and we know that snow days are still going to be different in different communities because of different needs. You just can't get the roads plowed fast enough in Foster, Gloucester, Burrillville, Scituate. I mean, the ratio of roads to kids is such that it's more likely schools are going to be closed. The bus has to go much longer between stops, and therefore in an equal snowstorm they're not going to be open as much, and the snowstorms aren't equal because that's part of the state gets hit. So I accept that the snow day thing is going to throw things off a little bit, but there's a lot more that we can do to coordinate.
All right, let me grab something again, another contemporary issue. At the same press conference, here's a headline. I'm not going to run the whole story for time purposes, but the commissioner along with the governor, chicken or the egg, I think the governor probably pushed the commissioner on this because there's an agenda here, but a ban on concealed carry in the schools. NEA position on this?
We think that a ban on concealed carry, except for law enforcement professionals who are already so designated, we think that makes sense. Consider the irony that packing heat and heat in the schools are the same issue in the same week. But we think the commissioner has the power to promulgate that as a rule, and that's a logical rule. We don't see, unless you are so deeply embedded in defending anything that mentions the Second Amendment that you think this is an affront. Most people get the logic of it.
The concept I'm ambivalent about, so I would concede.
Yeah,
but the idea that the directive comes, I think, creates some problems. It has no force of law, and I think there's a process issue here that has been bypassed and/or forced.
We've talked about this when I've been on the show in the past. Who decides? The question "who decides" encompasses so much in Rhode Island life, and we're talking about education. So just about education. Is this something the legislature should decide, a school committee should decide, the commissioner of education should decide, the superintendent, the principal, or the teachers getting together voting, or is it a contractual issue that we could actually negotiate? In the vacuum, the commissioner stepped in, and I'm sure and I know with the support of the governor, because they were at the press conference together, and we think it's a sensible outcome, and if someone wants to challenge, he can say it, but he can't enforce it, and we have to put an enforcement mechanism in, and that's a legislative thing, then we'll see that.
Yeah, we'll see
I would bet you that most of the police chiefs agree with this, and from a safety standpoint, I would suggest the data probably says we're better off with this rule.
Speaking of data, when we come back, a point of contention between some conservative thinkers and union folks when we come back. So this is a headline that caused a conversation earlier this week of Mike Stenhouse of the conservative, the Rhode Island what is it? Help me. The Rhode Island
Freedom and Prosperity. I think.
Yeah, it's good for you to know the opponent. But he actually contends that he's not encouraging union disaffiliation. He just wants people to know, what their options are. There's nuances in this conversation. We're going to try to run through it. But here's a segment from earlier this week when Mike Stenhouse was talking about a local education union sending out information about this new constitutional understanding of whether people can, opt out of unions, and then Bob will respond to it. So this letter that you pointed to is a local letter. Is this a letter to local?
Yeah, it's the Bristol Warren Education Association, which is the local of NEA.
And it warns members of that local teachers association that they won't be able to vote on union matters, that you cannot attend union meetings or functions. Building reps will not attend meetings to represent you. If you file a grievance, you'll need to pay a union attorney. And outside lawyers aren't allowed to represent you.
That's false.
That's false.
False.
Not according to the law. You say that's false.
Well, it's deceptive. Deceptive in that the contract language may state that you can only use union lawyers if you file a grievance through the union grievance system, but employees have the right. Still, our equal opportunity laws still are apply, and they can go outside the process and use their own private lawyers if they choose to.
Although the union represents the exclusive agent, so it's that I think that's probably a jump ball. That's probably a point of contention, right? They won't assist you on appeals, and you won't be able to request days from the sick leave bank. I mean, that's well, if most of that is true, union members will have to decide for themselves whether this all or nothing decision benefits them. What's your projection? Will we see an increase of union people not paying dues? Yes or no?
Oh, I'm sure we will. I mean, it's happened, like I said, it's 15 to 30% in other states once they've been informed.
All right, long segment there, but a little bit of background. So Mike says he's trying to inform union people, why you're laughing, trying to inform people about what their options are. I trust him at that motive. We'll go down some of these nuances, but what is your general impression of this new decision and what it means for unions?
Well, obviously, we were opposed to the decision, and for your viewers, since I don't think Mike understands the nuances of what was going on in the Supreme Court, I'll take a quick minute to explain.
There's a mildly condescending suggestion.
I was trying to be polite.
Yes.
He doesn't know much about what happened, I think, other than his biased side seems to be happy about it. The law of the land, the constitutional interpretation of how unions worked in the public sector in places like Rhode Island from the 1970s until the day of the Janus decision was you had two categories. You were a member, you paid your full dues, you had full rights and full representation, or you paid an agency fee, which in Rhode Island was about 85% of normal dues, which meant you did not contribute to our charitable or political functions because those were considered to be violations of freedom of speech. A guy named Mark Janus, backed by groups like Mike Stenhouse's nationally, carried forward a case to the Supreme Court and said, no, everything a union in the public sector does is political speech. So when I say I want a raise because I'm asking the government for a raise for my employees, that's political speech. And they've been tilting at this windmill for a long time. There was a prior case called Freericks, but one of the Supreme Court justices passed away, so it was 4-4. They kicked it back, and finally they had Justice Gorsuch on. They had a 5-4 majority, and they said, yes, everything I do is political speech, which a lot of my friends say everything I do is political speech, so maybe they looked at that. So representation, asking for a raise, talking about heat in the schools, talking about guns in the schools, talking about anything, it's all political speech. So they said those folks don't have to pay anything, but they are still covered by the contract. So if we have a contract that says teacher in their 3rd year gets paid this, the person who's not a member still gets paid.
I will tell
that.
you on this, when it first came up, and I don't think you would ever characterize me as a rabid pro-union guy.
I think that's a fair thing to say.
Doesn't mean I don't have common sense. I thought that felt unfair.
Right,
I
and we
feel
did
like
too.
that is unfair.
And that's why in other places go free riders. But what this decision said, that folks who are on Mike Stenhouse's side, the conversation leave out, and the letter that our local in Bristol Warren and all our locals have sent to their members explaining what this decision does. It says these are your rights, and if you join, this is how much it costs, and these are your rights. And if you're not a member, we have the right to charge you for services. Now, that's a pretty American thing. I joke that I belong to a gym. I never go to it, but I have the right to go into Planet Fitness anywhere in the country and exercise badly. But I don't have the right to go into any other gym and say, hey, I don't pay you anything, but what the heck? They have the right to kick me out.
Makes sense.
Now,
the point of
but
contention,
here,
and the thing that I was wondering about, is in this directive that we were reading from in that last segment, was this notion that not only would you have to pay lawyer fees for representation, you must choose us, meaning union lawyers,
that's
to do
absolutely
that.
true, because we are the exclusive representative. Because what we don't want is someone like Mike Stenhouse, who claims just to be an innocent babe in the woods, trying to notify our members of their rights under the law, when he's really all about trying to break the union, except for his union, which gives him a pretty good pension for 2.5 years of work. But we'll talk about that if he ever agrees to debate me.
You're talking about his baseball pension.
Yeah.
Yes.
He did 2.5 years
pitcher.
of seat time against third. No, that was his dad. He was mediocre.
Oh, now you're getting.
Oh yeah, we're going to get mediocre Mike Stenhouse on the show, and we're going to talk about his $34,000 pension, more than the average pension of a state employee or a municipal employee. But he worked 2.5 years, and they work 33 years on average. But he's doing fine, and he wants to tell them their rights, because what the heck, he's a rich retiree who's choosing to do that because he's a good guy. But what he doesn't understand, because he doesn't understand labor, is that exclusive representative means we're there to protect the contract. So what we don't want is someone like his buddy Mark Janus saying, hey, I'll file a grievance and you be my lawyer and we'll lose it and we'll mess up everybody else's rights. No, exclusive representative means we defend the contract. If he wants to go pro se and tell a story, we still have the right to be there. And if he wants us to do the case.
Slow down. That's interesting. So what you're saying is that the argument that you use an outside attorney provides an opportunity for sabotage.
Yeah, mischief and not understanding the entire history. That's what exclusive representative means. Now,
and you've always been objective with me about analysis of the facts, in addition to your point of view. You're certain that you're absolutely 100% correct.
Yeah, because we know that his side is going to challenge that someday in the future. And try and say exclusive, in court. He's trying to say that they have the right to have their own. But think about the simplest example, Dan. The contract says I should make $40,000 a year, and they're paying me $35,000, and I do the grievance, and they say, hey, would you take $37,000? And you say yes. And you want to settle that. We won't let you settle for that. If the contract says you should make $40,000, you make $40,000. And we don't want something to disrupt and cause a precedent or a bad precedent for anybody else who pays dues and to be represented by the bargaining unit. I don't understand why the conservative side of this has a problem with people should pay for service. I think they're angry. I think they thought they were going to win that thing too. And page 17 of this decision makes them all upset. Well, so they really thought they were going to get this free rider situation. So we'll have fun if we get them on the show and debate with them.
Have you guys in together. But to be honest with you, don't be shocked. I have no quarrel with any of your arguments. I don't see the fairness issue in getting free representation completely and expecting not to pay a la carte for things that you need.
Right, and to be clear though, even not paying dues, they are still protected by the contract. They get the same wage as everyone else. They're still on the seniority list, and they still get a lot of stuff for free.
All right, give me a short answer on this, because I want to talk politics for a minute in the next segment. Projection, not only in the NEA, but across the board, as to how many people will opt for this?
I'm not too worried in Rhode Island. We had maybe 250 to 300 agency fee members already, so they won't pay dues.
Against how many members?
We not counting the 2,000 retirees who aren't affected, and we've got 1,000 private sector members at Roger Williams and RISD. So just under 9,000 members.
So a very small percentage.
A small percentage.
It
And
might
some are
bump
coming
up.
back. Some of the agency fee members say, oh, well, given that choice, I want to pay dues and come back. We'll lose some. We'll absolutely lose some. I mean, people, tight paycheck,
The
tight
truth
pocketbook,
is,
and there'll be paperwork issues. And we'll be stronger for this because everyone will understand fully.
An agency fee payer might be upset about this because
they're going to, right.
because you don't want to lose your total negotiating representation.
I mean, we believe in the argument of solidarity. If everybody's a member, we're stronger at the bargaining table, stronger telling our case. But if you want to look at us like an insurance policy.
Got it. All right, quick couple of minutes on the politics of the season when we come back. Stay with us. All right, let's see if we can survive this next 2 minutes without another decapitation here. The politics of the NEA, you're not stepping up in the governor's race at all.
We are avoiding both primaries.
Well, look,
and we'll see
neither of us are rookies, and neither of us are stupid. That tells me that you don't buy the Governor's Act much.
We have mixed feelings about the governor. Obviously, the pension still hurts. The veto of our bill last year, the continuing contract bill that was passed overwhelmingly by the legislature, hurts.
I thought she was right on that. We'll have another show on that.
Yeah, we could do a show on that. Obviously, the legislature didn't. There were other issues we agree with her, which she was very helpful in replacing Commissioner Gist, who we had no great love for, as you know. She has been paying a lot of attention to the mental health issues in the schools and listening to what our frontline.
So you didn't
members
step up
talk
in the
about
governor's
that.
race, but you felt the urge to step up in the lieutenant governor's race.
We did.
Yes.
We did. Dan McKee is most famous in our ranks for his support of mayoral academies. I take that personally, since I'm a Cumberland High School graduate, and those resources were taken away from Cumberland High School.
Well, as a Cumberland resident myself, I found that was one of the issues he should most champion. Again, a debate that you and I should have.
That's right. We have lots of future shows.
I think, but it's fascinating. No notion of the experience between those two guys. You know, a guy who's young, kind of wet behind the ears, one step away from the governorship, versus a guy who's run mayoralties and is.
Well, he was in Cumberland as mayor. We saw that. And
I think
did not
Cumberland
help
is one of the most well-run towns in the state, historically.
I think that the schools need more resources in Cumberland. And, it's a turnkey operation, and Dan didn't do too much damage, except for the schools, which he damaged a lot.
Well, it's an age-old argument between
it
you
is,
and he.
and we're very fond of Aaron Regenberg as a state rep. He's a leader. He's on the short list of the hardest working politicians we've seen out there. We see him everywhere. We'll probably pass him 3 times on the way back to the office after taping the show because he's working so hard.
No one.
And they're spending a lot. We judge also people by the money. And now Dan McKee, breaking news: $125,000 in independent expenditures.
I got to go. We'll follow up on this. It's good to see you, my friend.
You too.
He might be back sooner than later. We'll be right back.